Today is February 1st. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. Welcome to Rob. I am an alcoholic. Welcome to Big Book Daily as we are journeying through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. It is a thrill and an honor to be here today. And man, I'll tell you, I hope you all got some snow where you're at because we certainly didn't get anywhere we are. And hopefully, it was the kind of snow where it was pretty to look at, but it was, you were safe and, didn't get stuck out in it or anything like that. But, yeah, we're cruising along these winter months here. So today we're going to be reading Chapter 9, The Family Afterward. That'll be pages 122 of the Big Book through 127. And we will continue our journey through Chapter 5, Step 5 in the 12 and 12, pages 58 and 59. So with that, let's get to the Big Book. Chapter 9, The Family Afterward. Our womenfolk have suggested certain attitudes a wife may take with a husband who's recovering. Perhaps they created the impression that he is to be wrapped in cotton wool and placed on a pedestal. Successful readjustment means the opposite. All members of families should meet upon the common ground of tolerance, understanding, and love. This involves a process of deflation. The alcoholic, his wife, his children, his in-laws, each one is likely to have fixed ideas about the family's attitude towards himself or herself. Each is interested in having his or her wishes respected. We find the more the one member of the family demands that the others concede to him, the more resentful they become. This makes for discord and unhappiness. And why? Is it not because each wants to play the lead? Is not each trying to arrange the family show to his liking? Is he not unconsciously trying to see what he can take from the family life rather than give? Cessation of drinking is but the first step from a highly strained, abnormal condition. A doctor said to us, years of living with an alcoholic is almost sure to make any wife or child neurotic. The entire family is, to some extent, ill. Let families realize, as they start their journey, that all will not be fair weather. Each in his turn may be footsore and may straggle. There will be alluring shortcuts and bypaths down which they might wander and lose their way. Suppose we tell you some of the obstacles a family will meet. Suppose we suggest how they may be avoided, even converted to good use for others. The family of an alcoholic longs for the return of happiness and security. They may remember when father was romantic, thoughtful, and successful. Today's life is measured against that of other years, and when it falls short, the family may be unhappy. Family confidence in dad is rising high. The good old days will soon be back, they think. Sometimes they demand that dad bring them back instantly. God, they believe, almost owes this recompense on a long overdue account. But the head of the house has spent years in pulling down the structures of business, romance, friendship, health. These things are now ruined or damaged. It'll take time to clear away the wreck. The old buildings will eventually be replaced by finer ones. The new structures will take years to complete. Father knows he is to blame. It may take him many seasons of hard work to be restored financially, but he shouldn't be reproached. Perhaps he will never have much money again. But the wise family will admire him for what he is trying to be, rather than for what he is trying to get. Now and then the family will be plagued by specters from the past, for the drinking career of almost every alcoholic has been marked by escapades, funny, humiliating, shameful, or tragic. The first impulse will be to bury these skeletons in a dark closet and padlock the door. The family may be possessed by the idea that future happiness can be based only upon forgetfulness of the past. We think that such a view is self-centered and in direct conflict with the new way of living. Henry Ford once made a wise remark to the effect that experience is the first thing of supreme value in life. That is true only if one is willing to turn the past to good account. We grow by our willingness to face and rectify errors and convert them into assets. The alcoholic's past thus becomes the principal asset of the family, and frequently it is almost the only one. This painful past may be of infinite value to other families still struggling with their problem. We think each family which has been relieved owes something to those who have not, And when the occasion requires, each member of it should only be too willing to bring former mistakes, no matter how grievous, out of their hiding places. Showing others who suffer how we were given help is the very thing which makes life seem so worthwhile to us now. Cling to the thought that, in God's hands, the dark past is the greatest possession you have, the key to life and happiness for others. With it, you can avert death and misery for them. It is possible to dig up past misdeeds so that they become a blight, a veritable plague. For example, we know of situations in which the alcoholic or his wife have had love affairs. In the first flush of spiritual experience, they forgave each other and drew closer together. The miracle of reconciliation was at hand. Then, under one provocation or another, the aggrieved one would unearth the old affair and angrily cast its ashes about. A few of us have had these growing pains, and they hurt a great deal. Husbands and wives had sometimes been obliged to separate for a time until new perspective, new victory over hurt pride could be re-won. In most cases, the alcoholic survived this ordeal without relapse, but not always. So we think that unless some good and useful purpose is to be served, past occurrences should not be discussed. We families of Alcoholics Anonymous keep few skeletons in the closet. Everybody knows about the other's alcoholic troubles. This is a condition which, in ordinary life, would produce untold grief. There might be scandalous gossip, laughter at the expense of other people, and a tendency to take advantage of intimate information. Among us, these are rare occurrences. We do talk about each other a great deal, but we almost invariably temper such talk by a spirit of love and tolerance. Another principle that we observe carefully is that we do not relate intimate experiences of another person unless we are sure he would approve. We find it better, when possible, to stick to our own stories. A man may criticize or laugh at himself, and it will affect others favorably. But criticism or ridicule coming from another often produces the contrary effect. Members of a family should watch such matters carefully. For one careless, inconsiderate remark has been known to raise the very devil. We alcoholics are sensitive people. It takes some of us a long time to outgrow that serious handicap. Many alcoholics are enthusiasts. They run to extremes. At the beginning of recovery, a man will take, as a rule, one or two directions. He may either plunge into a frantic attempt to get on his feet in his business, or he may be so enthralled by his new life that he talks or thinks of little else. In either case, certain family problems will arise. With these, we've had experience galore. We think it dangerous if he rushes headlong at his economic problem. The family will be affected also, pleasantly at first, as they feel their money troubles are about to be solved, and then not so pleasantly as they find themselves neglected. Dad may be tired at night and preoccupied by day. He may take small interest in the children and may show irritation when reproved for his delinquencies. If not irritable, he may seem dull and boring, not gay or affectionate as the family would like him to be. Mother may complain of inattention. They are all disappointed and often let him feel it. Beginning with such complaints, a barrier arises. He is straining every nerve to make up for lost time. He's striving to recover fortune and reputation and feels that he's doing very well. Sometimes mother and children don't think so. Having been neglected and misused in the past, they think father owes them more than they are getting. They want him to make a fuss over them. They expect him to give them nice times that they used to have before he drank so much, and to show his contrition for what they have suffered. But Dad doesn't give freely of himself. Resentment grows. He becomes still less communicative. Sometimes he explodes over a trifle. The family's mystified. They criticize, pointing out how he is falling down on a spiritual program. This sort of thing can be avoided. Both father and family are mistaken, though each side may have some justification. It is of little use to argue and only makes the impasse worse. The family must realize that Dad, though marvelously improved, is still convalescing. They should be thankful he is sober and able to be of this world once more. Let them praise his progress. Let them remember that his drinking wrought all kinds of damage that may take long to repair. If they sense these things, they will not take so seriously his periods of crankiness, depression, or apathy, which will disappear when there is tolerance, love, and spiritual understanding. All right, that concludes our reading in the Big Book. All right, my friends, we are on page 58 of the 12 and 12. We are journeying through step 5. Bottom of 58. More realism and therefore more honesty about ourselves are great gains that we make under the influence of step 5. As we took inventory, we began to suspect how much trouble self-delusion had been causing us. This had brought a disturbing reflection. If all our lives we had more or less fooled ourselves, how could we now be so sure that we weren't still self-deceived? How could we be certain that we had made a true catalog of our defects and had really admitted them, even to ourselves? Because we were still bothered by fear, self-pity, and hurt feelings, it was probable that we couldn't appraise ourselves fairly at all. Too much guilt and remorse might cause us to dramatize and exaggerate our shortcomings. Or anger and hurt pride might be the smokescreen under which we were hiding some of our defects, while we blamed others for them. Possibly, too, we were still handicapped by liabilities, great and small, that we never knew we had. Hence, it was most evident that a solitary self-appraisal and the admission of our defects based upon that alone wouldn't be nearly enough. We'd have to have outside help if we were surely to know and admit the truth about ourselves. The help of God and another human being. Only by discussing ourselves, holding back nothing, only by being willing to take advice and accept direction, could we set foot on the road to straight thinking, solid honesty, and genuine humility. Many of us still hung back. We said, why can't God, as we understand him, tell us where we are astray? If the Creator gave us our lives in the first place, then he must know in every detail where we have since gone wrong. Why don't we make our admission to him directly? Why do we need to bring anyone else into this? All right. I have definitely asked myself that question before. So that's some powerful stuff there. I really love the line. Only by discussing ourselves, holding back nothing, only by being willing to take advice and to accept direction, could we set foot on the road to straight thinking, solid honesty, and genuine humility. It is definitely a humbling experience when you kind of uncover some of those not so great things about yourself to another human being. All right, guys, and going back to the Big Book real quick, on page 123, it says, it'll take time to clear away the wreck. Though old buildings will eventually be replaced by finer ones, the new structures will take years to complete. Going back to that old analogy they had before about the alcoholic being like a tornado. First, when we put the bottle down, it's gonna take time to rebuild. It does take time, and time proves a lot of things. It's tough. It's so tough for families because they expect restitution right away, and who could blame them? I understand that completely. I remember looking my bride in the eye and saying, "Look, just give me some time. I promise you, I'm going to try to right every single wrong." And it's taken time, and it's going to take, honestly, for me, it's going to take a lifetime. They call it a living amends. Again, kind of like I said yesterday, to be the man my bride deserves, to be the man I believe God created me to be. This is going to be a lifetime thing for me, and I'm grateful. I mean, if I didn't see results, and usually it's my wife that'll notice it before I do. That something that used to bother me that no longer bothers me. She'll bring it up to my attention. And I'm grateful for that because I'm like, oh yeah, okay, all right. And then I just kind of look up and go, thank you, God. But another thing that I thought was pretty interesting is cling to the thought, this is on 124, cling to the thought that in God's hands, the dark past is the greatest possession you have. The key to life and happiness for others. With it, you can avert death and misery for them. So a lot of times I would think to myself, I can't believe I did those things. I can't believe I did this. Oh, why did I do this? Why couldn't I have just stopped drinking? That would have been so much easier. But then I realized, wait a minute. Why did I have to do all these embarrassing, shameful things? I'm just so ashamed. Why did I have to go through this? Well, now I thank God because I have a unique experience with my struggles with alcohol. It's almost like this tool that I have that is specialized to help only other alcoholics. When I share my experience, strength, and hope, there might be somebody out there that's going through the exact same thing or something so similar, and no medical professional might be able to relate to this alcoholic. I can uniquely help that one. And that's incredible. I've experienced this firsthand. I've been on the receiving end too. I remember hearing the experience of other alcoholics for the first time and how it changed my outlook. So I can say from personal experience that my past is one of my greatest assets, and I thank God for that because I can help alcoholics in a way that many people who are not alcoholic can't. And that is a beautiful experience. How God can turn something that was seemingly evil and seemingly horrible into something beautiful. But guys, I have rambled enough. I hope you have a great first day of February. Thank you for joining me in this Lifeboat of Recovery. And it is an honor and a joy to be here. And I'm looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow.